What is up, guys? Steven the Fear Bandit Zach here. Another episode of Bowfishing Talk. I know I've been slacking big time. It's been a while since I came out with a new episode, but life's been kicking my butt. I haven't really been bow fishing lately. My boat has been down in wintertime, and it's hard to bow fish from the bank. The fish are kind of few and far between, but I should be having the boat finished this week. Hopefully, I'll go out this weekend, shoot some fish, get you guys some videos. Um, I'm hoping. It's looking good. It's looking like we're gonna be able to do that. The weather is looking like it's gonna hold up too. Pretty windy, but it's typical for the winter. But today I just want to go over a lot of the big tournaments actually just released their schedules for the year. So I just want to take a couple of them and go over real quick and talk about them. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is my favorite part about bow fishing is going out to these tournaments, hanging out with the guys, and a little bit of competition. Once I stopped fighting, I lack in the competition in life. So this kind of gets me a little bit of that flair going and gives me something to look forward to. It's a lot of fun going out of town with my boys. So um, let's dive into it. Let's get the first one up here, which is my favorite one, the big one, um, the U.S. Open, baby. They decided to do this in the same place they did it last year. When I was there last year, this tournament was put on by Bass Pro Shop. Um, it's a really awesome tournament. If you've never been, normally historically the tournament kind of jumps around different places. It was in Oklahoma a few years ago, then it was in Louisiana, then they moved to Missouri last year. And I was telling my buddies when we were there, I was like, man, they're gonna do this again here next year. I don't know about every year, but definitely next year because the venue was just perfect. Um, they usually do it at actual at an ass at a Bass Pro Shop, which just seems like a logistical nightmare to me because the place is open and now they got 200 boats. They have to get the police involved to do the traffic and all that. And then last year they did it at, I guess, this shooting range they got in Missouri there. It was on top of a mountain. Like you could look down, see the lake below. It was beautiful. You see on TV that flowing grass and the wind. It had that. It just seemed legit. So I told my buddies, I was like, yeah, we're for sure gonna be fishing here again next year. Sure enough, they did. But the U.S. Open, man, it's my favorite big tournament to do. They got vendors there. They got all kinds of stuff for kids to do. They got a live band. They set up a big arena. This is another thing that made me realize they're going to do this probably there every years. They had this big arena set up there with a stage for weigh-ins. It was freaking awesome. They did the national anthem. They had a guy skydive down with an American flag during the national anthem. The most American shit I've ever seen. So that was awesome. It's a great tournament to go to. Format is Big 20, which is, if you're not familiar with tournaments, that's going to be every team's going to go out, shoot your 20 biggest fish. Uh, they'll add that total up. Whoever has the heaviest Big 20 fish wins. Pretty self explanatory there. If you're not familiar with bow fishing tournaments, it's all your non game fish. I think in Missouri you have your gar of all species. There's not really any alligator gar in these lakes. They let you fish, but you got your gar, buffalo, big mouth, smallmouth buffalo, carp, common carp. I'm sure you're allowed to shoot silvers and big heads. I don't know if there's any in those waters there. And then your grass carp. That's pretty much what these guys are going to be weighing in. You can see the champions here last year, Team TKO. They had a big bucket of gar and some big mouth buffs. We had a fun time there in Missouri last year. It was interesting. It was my first year fishing with the airboat, and we went out there and at every gas station we stopped at, we had somebody telling me the airboats were illegal in Missouri, which I guess there's some kind of red tape there. They're not exactly illegal, but they're over the decibel limits in most of the lakes, so you can get in trouble. Um, but I'm pretty excited to that they're doing it in the same place. We're pretty new to the tournament scene. Me and my team. So a lot of these lakes we haven't fished before. So these tournaments jumping around everywhere, it makes it really difficult. I don't have a lot of money and time to go pre-fish for weeks because these tournaments are pretty far from me. So here in Texas. So them doing the same place every year, same time every year is beneficial for the guys that don't have that access to go pre-fish constantly, just because you at least have some idea. So we went last year. There's 3 lakes they let you fish, and I think it's the same way this year. They do Truman Lake, Bull Shoals, and Table Rock. Table Rock is no airboats allowed, so we didn't even get on that lake. When we got there, we fished Truman first. Showed up as it was pouring rain and found a ton of fish. It was awesome. So we're like, okay, we're gonna run this lake, and they actually had a ton of rain, and it turned into a muddy mess. So at the last minute, we decided to check out Bull Shoals. We drilled the Bull Shoals, which is it's crazy the contrast between those 2 lakes. Truman is muddy, stumpy, which is pretty much what I'm used to here in Texas, and then Bull Shoals is just crystal clear. They were saying that that was pretty murky for Bull Shoals, considering they had all that rain, but I mean, it was still really clear. If that was murky, then that's a pretty clear lake. So I don't know what we're gonna do this year, but we're gonna go down early and do a little pre-fishing. So I'm pumped for that one. They also give away a tracker bow fishing boat, which is pretty freaking legit, man. So even if you can go in and get last place, shoot no fish, boat blows up on you, whatever could happen. You still have a chance of winning a going home with a brand new boat. So I mean, it's always good to just go just for that opportunity, because there's whatever. I think they put a cap of 250 teams, so 250 times four. So you got 4 people on a team each, but everybody gets a raffle ticket to win one. So it's what 1 in 1,000 chance of winning a boat. It's really not that bad of odds for something you're going to have a great time doing. So I recommend everybody go check out that tournament this year. Um, it's in April. It's one of the earlier ones of the year. It's just a lot of fun. So I'm excited about that one. Let's hit the next one here. Um, Gonna be the Muzzy Classic. This is normally one they do in Kentucky, at least since I've been on the tournament scene, which was pretty awesome to go because that's where they got all the massive amounts of silver carp and big head carp below Barkley and Kentucky Lake. So we always like to go do that. Just we have some of them here, but not really, not like that. So it's cool to go see. But this year they decided to move it. They moved it over to Vicksburg, Mississippi. So I think that's right there on the Mississippi River, which I'm amped about that. I've always wanted to fish this Mississippi. I drove over it a million times. Never been down there to fish it. It's only 5 hours from me, um, so hopefully I'll better go down and make a few trips to do some pre-fishing there, which I'm gonna need to do, because that's a whole nother ball game for me. I don't know what to expect at all, like no idea. So it's gonna be fun. I hope I can make a couple trips. This one I think is the same exact layout as the other one, which is big 20. Uh, so your biggest 20 fish, same concept. I don't know much about the area at all. So I don't know. No, I'm excited about that one. That's gonna be a big tournament too. There's usually 200 boats, whatever, there at the Muzzy. I'm sure it'll be just the same at the Mississippi. I was kind of getting a little bit figured out over there where they were doing them on Kentucky and Barkley Lake. We did better last year than we did the year before, so I kind of felt like I was going to have somewhat of a plan going into this year, but they moved it on me, which is cool. So yeah, they do a lot of cool stuff there. They give away a lot of free stuff. Definitely a good one to go check out. I'm gonna throw a link to all these tournaments in the description so you can go sign up, look at the other info. There's a lot more info involved in these bow fishing tournaments. A lot of red zones, different rules. If you haven't done them before, that's stuff you'll definitely want to check out. Um, so anyway, let's go over to the next one. Boom, the Bow Fishing Association of America Worlds Tournament. I've actually never done the Worlds Tournament before. I've only been doing tournaments for like a year and a half, so uh, they have been doing it way, way, way up north, and that's just too far for me. I can't afford it. This stuff's kind of hard to read. This tournament's kind of an interesting tournament. For one, they have a different format. They do two different categories. You have your standard Big 20, just like most tournaments, but then they also have a numbers tournament. I personally don't shoot numbers tournaments. Um, Not that I have anything against it per se, but to me, going out and just shooting a ton of fish just sounds more like a chore than fun. So, uh, not for me. But the good thing about the way they have this tournament set up, you don't have to do both categories, um, which is nice. Because if they did, I wouldn't show up because I don't have any interest in shooting numbers. So I'm glad they do separate it. What's cool about the Bowfishing Association of America versus these other tournaments is they give a few people put in bids what state they want to go to. I think when they did the voting, um, they had like Michigan, Louisiana, obviously. Then I think there was Minnesota, and then one of the Carolinas, I think. But the members of the Bow Fishing Association of America actually voted on where it was going to be, and ended up with Louisiana. You do have to be a member to vote. It's a good thing to go do because these guys are the ones out fighting for our rights to bowfish. So when you sign up and become a paid member, that money goes back towards that. So that's good stuff. Let's dig into it. So there's a lot of restriction. I'm going to have to kind of get close to the screen and read this fine print. So this one's going to have a little bit interesting stuff going on with it. Honestly, I didn't really pay too much attention when I was reading this for the numbers side, just because I didn't have any interest in doing. I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. This banner here, you can get on their website and you can see it. It gives all details, but all your rough fish, in Louisiana, you can shoot catfish. So um, that's a different one than most places tournament wise. So that'll be interesting. And also on this one, because Louisiana has a very abundant amount of alligator gar, they're actually allowing 4 alligator gar per team in the Big 20 section. And that is a game changer as far as this tournament goes because if you don't know much about alligator gar, they get huge. They're the biggest, I think, the biggest freshwater fish in North America. Maybe it's the sturgeon's bigger. I don't know. We don't have sturgeon down here, so I'm not sure what the official biggest is. I know they get huge. I've been down Louisiana bow fishing once in the bayou with my buddy over at Black Knight Bow Fishing. Check them out, guys. Book a trip with them; they're awesome. And it was cool, man. I've never done saltwater bow fishing before, but uh, I mean, it's awesome down there because we're cruising around in the water, and we're seeing redfish, which you can shoot redfish in Louisiana. And they're not going to allow it for the tournament, but you are able to when we were down there during that trip. And there's redfish swimming around. You got alligator gar, tons and tons of alligator gar swimming around. Then there's some catfish, and then there's a jellyfish, and there's dolphins swimming around, and then there's some carp, and it's just weird, man. That brackish water is weird. 'Cause I'm just like, where are we? So that was really cool. Um, so that'll be the interesting thing there. It's the boat fishing there. It's not like anywhere else in the country. What you're allowed to shoot and what you're going to see. So it's a really fun experience, a really good tournament to go do. It's just there's really nothing like it. I'm kind of interested to see how it's all going to go. I know a lot of the marsh in Louisiana is private water. Um, I'm hoping I'll be able to pull some strings and get in a good spot. I don't know. This tournament's later in the year, so I'm really gonna have to dive into it. Um, and figure all that out. I'll have to look over the rules more and see what you're supposed to do with all this stuff. But they do allow you to fish. I think Toledo Bend, which is on the Texas Louisiana border, they did release the red zones. Don't quote me on any of this stuff. I took a glance at it. Toledo Bend is an awesome lake. I've only fished it once. There was a ton of big fish. People pull huge fish out of there all the time. Um, and So, if you don't know much about the marsh, you can always fish Toledo. A, I think you could fish maybe the Mississippi going down. Like I said, I had to look at it. I don't really remember exactly, but there's a lot of areas you can fish. So they just released the red zones. You can check those out. I just love Louisiana, man. When I was fighting, we had a lot of fights in South Louisiana. I beat up a lot of Cajuns. Some awesome people, as tough as they come, and the hospitality down there is awesome. One of my fights, I kneed the guy in the head a bunch of times and choked him out. And then, I mean, he didn't let me get up yet after the fight was over, and he was already wanting me to go have a beer with him. So I don't drink, but the offer was nice. So that's just how these people are, man. They're just awesome people down there. So it's going to be a good tournament. You're going to want to check it out. Like I said, I will throw the link in the descriptions if you want to go read more about them. There is an entry fee to these tournaments, so they're not free to go do, but obviously, uh, but yeah, I'm real excited for this one because it's real close to me being in Texas. But you got all your info there. I like that they do little side pots. The side pots is where the fun is because they got a $50 big fish pot, and then they got a $50 small fish pot. So that's fun. You can shoot you a little tiny fish, and if there's 200 teams, they all put in $50. I'm not no math magician or nothing, but it's a good amount of money. So you always get a chance there, even if it's kind of a slow night and you pick the bad spot, whatever. It's a good one to go do. So we'll check out this next tournament here. And I got boom the Grand River Monster Tournament. Now this one is not maybe as big of a national tournament as the other ones, but it's one of my favorite tournaments. It's local. It's in Oklahoma. So it's just right down the road from me, a couple hours drive, and it's just an awesome tournament. I've been going for a few years. One of my teammates, he does the banners and shirts and all that. Shout out to him, the t-shirt guy. He actually made this shirt right here, this Prestige Ride Boats and Hose. So I'll throw a link down to his website if you want. He's got all kinds of bow fishing stickers, shirts, stuff like that. If anybody wants to purchase those, I'll throw that down there. But this Grand River Monster Tournament, man, it's fun. They got a few chains of lakes you can fish up there, and they're strange lakes, man. I fish up there quite a bit, and the Big 15 format is good. Um, it kind of gives some of the less experienced teams a little bit more of a chance. It's, as you would think, it's easier to find 15 big fish than 20 big fish. So just kind of evens the playing field a little bit with the less experienced guys. And those lakes, man, they're not, you know, those lakes up there are awesome. They got a ton of fish in them, but it's not like a lot of these places. You're not really going to shoot any 50, 60 pound buffalo or grass carp or, anything like that. I'm sure they're in there, but this tournament here to win it's usually a grind. A lot of teams are real close. There's not really anybody blowing anybody else out of the water on a typical night. I know there's been a couple big fish weighed in the past, real big fish, like a 70-pound big head got weighed in once. Um, but there's not very many big heads around here. So it's a lot of fun because I really feel like it's something that anyone has a chance. You can go out and put the fish on. Um, and Grand Lake is fun. It's pretty clear. It's about the most public lake I've ever been on. I mean, there's a dock. There's barely anywhere on that lake that doesn't have docks, but those fish there love the docks. So, and the other lakes are good too. I haven't fished Gibson. I fished Hudson. It's got a huge gar in it. Ton of buffalo. Ton of buffalo. Um, but yeah, it's a fun one, fun tournament, great for the family. They have all kinds of giveaways. So they give away bows, arrows. Just I've never been to a tournament that gave away so much stuff in a raffle, which is nice because, like I said, even if you have a bad night, you always have a chance of taking something home. They give away so much stuff. A lot of times, dang near everybody's taking something home: arrows, reels, whatever. They do a lot of stuff for kids, a lot of stuff for the veterans that are shooting. Um, so you can't beat that. I'm real excited for that one. They did put it on my wife's birthday, so I'm gonna have to do some real kissing ass to be able to go. Um, but I don't like to miss that one. So last year they did like a half day, half night tournament. which those are cool, and it breaks up the monotony of the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 12 hours. But man, it was hot. It was the middle of summer. We was dying. I forgot the sunscreen, and I was trying anything I could to. I'm a white boy, so I was trying anything I could to keep me from getting toasted. Uh, but yeah, now they're going back to the all night tournament, which I like. Those lakes have a lot of boat traffic, so it was kind of rough fishing during the day with the 3,000 boats swimming around, driving around. But yeah, those are just some of the ones. Those are just some of the tournaments. There's a bunch more big tournaments, but I just want to go over a few of my personal favorites and ones that I'll be at. I know there's a bunch of up north and stuff like that, but I'm not going to those. I can't afford to drive across the country for a tournament. So yeah, that's what I want to go over today, guys. I appreciate all the support. I'm gonna hopefully, like I said, get my boat fixed this weekend, and we're gonna get some new boat fishing videos out. I got a bunch of more cameras, different stuff we're gonna try. It's gonna be a blast. Like I said, I'm gonna throw all the links to those tournaments in the description. If you want to support the channel, I'm gonna have my Cash App in there as well. Just help me out while I'm making videos. So uh, I'll catch you next time, guys. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, so you know when I'm posting. Peace out.